Okay, welcome to another episode of You Don't Say, episode 4, Baba. Shoo. We're going. Slowly but surely. My name is Tapelo Liduma.
And my name is Busiso Sister Styles.
And today in studio we are joined by none other than Mohau Busiu, Ntatem Pokamani, Librur Amu. Guys, introduce yourselves.
My name is Mohau. Thank you for having me here.
The name is Mpo. A pleasure being here.
The name is Amu. And pleasure being here as well.
Sure.
None.
You guys ready for this?
Let's do this.
Shall I introduce the topic?
Okay,
Fandaha, we're talking about something that's very close to a lot of gents' heart. I hope so, because it's a very
if they want to,
you know. So we're talking about the importance of being financially stable before getting married. Is it something that needs to be considered, or is it just one of those that we exaggerating or whatever? But the whole idea behind that is that marriage is a beautiful institution. However, in itself, it houses a lot of challenges and conflicts. And after doing a bit of research, we've realized money is also one of the largest contributors to these conflicts. And in some instances, it leads to divorce. And so it has led us to coming up with this.
So I mean, the inside of money just brought us to this conversation. What then is financial stability, and is the financial burden lying solely on the guy, or is it a joint thing, So it's a dynamic conversation that we're going to have. But of course, we need to have a technical definition of what marriage is, so that, the audience out there can understand what we're talking about. So
maybe just before we kick off, three of you guys, just give us an understanding of what's marriage in your understanding in the context of South Africa, in legal terms, if you are able to do so. What do you understand by marriage and two people coming together?
At the most basic, you would know that it is a union between two people, and generally it is usually between a man and a woman. But the world is changing. The world is moving on, and it has changed in many ways. And even in the definition of that kind of marriage, that union, it's essentially a pact between two people, and the assumption is that these people are equal in that marriage. But sometimes it is not the case, because in most of our cultures, what we do not have are those contractual agreements that are put onto paper, as it would be in what we like to say is a white wedding, where we would then have to go to court, sign some papers, then have that ceremonial thing. But what I wanted to touch on is the subject that you're bringing in, which is the issue of money. To get married, you need to pay something. In most of our cultures, you pay ilobolo, upatal mahadi.
Sure.
And usually that's what would be done by a man, because in the olden days, the man's family would have the cows, and they would be the one who would go to seek for the bride, bakupe, linyalo, and then they would pay a certain amount through cows or whatever that would be shared between the families, and then you bring the families together. But essentially it's bringing the woman to the man's family, and they would take the surname of the man. But today it is not like that anymore, and this is changing, and central to that is the issue of money. Who pays? Who has the money? That is changing. We are a young democracy where women are being emancipated. Women have more power. They are allowed to work to make their own money. So you'd find in cases where we earn equally, or sometimes the woman earns more than the man. So that those definitions we are yet to actually chisel into our discourse as a people and begin to redraft what we had known. So those are things that we would need to talk about, and especially as young people, because the future is ours and we have to define it for ourselves. Yeah,
that's true.
Wow. Sure.
What do you say after that?
What do you say?
And I hope you guys
said a mouthful.
It took the whole book, man. Come
So
on, man.
only will it, Bafit.
Out of words.
What a weird.
So you understand, Jorge. So basically, he just gave an overall idea of what's that. So there are a couple of options that you have to consider when getting married. And I know, Amu, you are in the process of getting married right now.
Yeah.
And
Ko ra re tsebe ho didietsa, nka be re didietsa.
yeah.
Before he gives us what you're asking him, I think it's important as well. I mean, the options. Is it an option? Yeah. But the two options,
just consider, yeah.
the two considerations that are you marrying in community of property or are you marrying out of community of property? The ANC anti-nuptial agreement. So that's also another a point that we want to touch on as well as we talk about this whole marriage situation.
Maybe,
So,
okay, Mpo is married.
okay.
Were you aware of the dynamics?
Yeah, you are made quite aware of that. When you go to sign Go Home Affairs,
Yeah.
they put it out there for you. They explain what's what. And then you and your fiance, wife to be at that time, you decide on, I think it's something you speak about before you even go to sign it. Before Lilo sign, with me and the wife, it was, I had nothing. So
When you say nothing, what do you mean?
I mean, in terms of anything I own,
or assets.
assets. The only thing I had, I think, was a car.
Okay.
And at that point in time, that car was considered our car. So we had been together for like, it's been like 6 years by that time. So yeah, by that time, we had just decided that, hey, going forward, this is how we're gonna do things. Everything that's in this household is ours. There's no what's yours is yours, what's mine is mine.
Yeah.
No, what's yours is mine, what's mine is yours. That's how it goes. Yeah. So yeah, my marriage contract is in community.
Why are you doing marriage?
No, the contract part. The contract part. I'm married in community of property. So yeah, if it does happen that I kick the bucket anytime soon, yeah,
Yeah.
she gets everything with the kids. So yeah.
Amu?
Yeah, obviously, for me, it all depends. You sit down together with your partner and you decide what you guys want to enter into. And obviously, you go through marriage counseling, and if you're fortunate enough, you've got lawyer friends or attorney friends to give you advice. And they give you the benefits of doing whatever. Like Umpo said, there's no point in wanting to drop a ANC contract or enter into that type of contract in anti-nuptial
yeah.
one in marriage. If you, because it's quite expensive as well, because you need to pay the lawyers to draft the contracts and so forth. And if you haven't acquired much, I mean, there's no point in getting married.
Yeah, but like Mahau said, and I think this is also something that's a reality. Times have changed now. Before our times, or before our
How
generation.
old are you, bro? What do you say before our time?
Before our time, back in our parents' times.
Yeah.
I think the communication barrier was not as wide open as it is for us now.
Yeah.
Back then, and cultural difference is also a big part of this marriage thing. I think I was speaking to the wife, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday. I was actually telling her that, do you know that as a Zulu guy, I'm not Zulu, but from what I see from the outside, I'm like, do you know that as a Zulu guy, you dictate everything to your wife. You dictate everything. Everything is dictated from A to Z.
Yeah.
The wife has no voice in any decision that's been made there. She's just been
Zulus.
told.
Is it only
No,
Zulus?
I was speaking about Zulus.
This guy.
I was speaking about Zulus because she's Zulu. My wife is Zulu Ampedi. So I was like, we're actually discussing that. I'm like, in your culture, I'm seeing this. This is what I'm seeing. So marriages back then wouldn't be as open as they are now.
Yeah.
Because now you're now open. You've got the channel of communication to say, hey, dude, as a woman, you're able to say, I believe that going forward, the money that I come in with, should it happen that we separate, I'd like to take whatever I came in with.
It's true.
Yes. Back then, you wouldn't have that chance to say, hey, ogwami. No.
But,
You the
but,
wife.
but it's funny. It's funny because with the ladies, if the guy is earning more, then it's fine. We can have a
community.
we can have community and property. But if she's earning more, then they want to go into all these technicalities of ANC, all these prenups and so forth.
Hey, you must be very careful
So-
of generalizing. Yeah, you know,
No,
generalizing. It might just come for you.
From just conversation.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
conversation, you see it.
Yeah, just from even being around other married couples, you see that things
Okay.
are.
Yeah, maybe just before.
Don't you find that or what is weird is that I would imagine most of us go into marriage as an assumption that we love each other, we want to spend the rest of our lives together. There hasn't been yet, even in our young life as a democracy, as a people, to such an extent that it even becomes a curriculum in school to say, because people, it's human nature, they will love each other, they will then get to make decisions like getting married. This is what you have to know. We are as yet to get to that point. It is still mostly it's not cognitive stuff. It's mostly affection. I like this person. I want to spend the rest of my life with them. But the cognitive detail hasn't been part of our discussion to say, what does that entail? How long is our contract? Our contract is for life. What does it mean for me and for you? What do you bring to the table? What do I bring to the table? What then happens when we decide that this is no longer working? These are things we are yet to discuss as even curriculums, because they are that important. Spending the rest of your life with somebody you did not grow up with as your blood tie is not something we can take lightly.
I think
So I don't know, don't you find that conflict? Because where I am, that's what I find. Somebody would say, I want to get married because I'm at the age where I feel I'm comfortable, I'm earning enough. But we haven't then discussed the rational part of what are the consequences of this decision, both positive and negative.
So I like that you're talking about something that, it would be nice to introduce it, in a curriculum.
Yeah, because those contracts are already there that you would have to get. Let's say the one instance we've made now is marrying in community of property, or your antenuptial, which is usually called a prenup, where I think what you need also is a marriage counseling, not when things are bad, but before even going to it. Family planning should entail what if then, let's say, because usually when we speak about family planning in our context is if now these people are planning to have a child or there's a child involved, how do we mitigate? But we haven't come to a discussion of getting the ring on the finger. What does it mean? I think that counseling should come even before these people get into marriage, not to go into a lifelong commitment based on assumption and affectionate stuff rather than the rationale and the thinking stuff. True.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but sometimes you just have to go in and experience it for yourself.
In what sense?
I would disagree vehemently with
because
that.
In what sense are you
making
saying?
it technical for me, you're taking away from getting to know the person emotionally, getting to know what the person likes, what she dislikes, or getting to know all these things.
And I'm saying those are the nice things, but there are contracts that come with getting married. You cannot run away from it.
But that's what you discuss in courtship while you're still dating. There's some stuff that you need to be discussing.
Yes,
and that's what we've done as well.
Okay, and I'm saying you need to discuss those with, as you were mentioning, with a lawyer or with a marriage counselor, because some of the things you would not be as well versed as a lawyer would be. It's
Also,
not you are not bringing any barriers. You are just facilitating and projecting what is to come.
And
not only the negative,
I think
also the positive. I think marriage counseling is about the positive, to say this is how you sustain a marriage. Okay, sure.
No, you look at both.
You look at both.
You look at both. You look at this. I'm going through marriage counseling right now.
That's
and,
good.
And they give you the negative and they give you the benefits.
Absolutely.
Whether in the sex part of marriage, the financial part of marriage, they give you the benefits. Or like it's Sunday when we went to marriage counseling, they tell you, dude, Tinama gents test would have sex 24/7 if it were up to us.
Yeah.
But you can't do that because you need to understand that you're dealing with a female and we don't feel the same emotions and so forth. Women.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I think
yo guys, let's just bring it back.
yeah, I'm trying to-
Yeah, let's just bring it back, Chad. But I like this. I knew this was gonna happen. So bringing it back to the finance.
the finance.
Yeah.
So you guys
So
went
there
on a
are
tangent for a
the couple
moment.
of considerations that you have to take in mind when it comes to finances, like pre getting into this, like who's earning more, and I think one to note as well is the income inequalities between the woman and man. You know, so in saying so, Mahau touched a lot on that in his introduction. Maybe I could ask you guys a question. In modern times, I know you spoke of from a traditional perspective back in the days as well. In modern times, would you still say the responsibility of provision or financially liable lies with? Is it only exclusive to the man? In modern times, the responsibility of being the provider.
Does it still lie with the guy?
Does it still lie with the guy?
I mean, we have equality. I mean, women have come, like rightfully so. You know, they have to be, you know, they're being put on the same scale economically. You know, and traditionally, the guy was the guy. The guy was the one who would ultimately provide, ultimately buy, ultimately right. So if about this mommy, we are now equal. Now, where does the financial burden lie? And if like, I'm gonna just throw in a curveball here. I'm gonna just bring in Lobola a bit. You know,
We'll come in. Just
Hang tight.
Yeah. Is the burden
To
still
answer
lying with
your
the?
question, it doesn't, it shouldn't, but habitually, that's what would happen.
so the
And,
financial burden is still on a guy.
habitually.
Can
I'm
I-
saying it doesn't, it shouldn't.
Abajele in habitual.
But
habitual?
it's not just a habit, but it's what we've grown into and what people are used to. That no, why doesn't the guy have money? That's still the question today.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be.
And can I comment from a married guy's
That's
perspective?
what you're here.
With me and the wife, like he says, habitually you feel entitled that, amen, I'm the man here.
Okay.
So if there's I'm the man in the house. If there's no bread, the burden is more on you than on the wife. If there's no bread on the table, you're the one who, the stress lies more on you. Although the wife won't say, although the wife won't say, baby, there's no bread in the house. Is it possible for you to make a plan? You can see it. Although she won't say it, you can see it. Although you won't say it, you can see it.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, for no, from I've been dating for about 6 years. Yeah, 6 years. Bekumele ngishade. Bekumele ngishade.
How long have you been dating? Wow.
Penalties. Yeah. So I think for me and my partner, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Sometimes she'll pay or I'll pay, but like Mpo said, the burden lies on me most of the time. If we go out, I make sure that I have something. If she offers, she offers.
Not that that's how it should
Yeah.
be,
So-
but
so-
it's you.
Yeah.
Not that it's not
Yeah.
supposed to be like that.
So what's that? Wait, no.
Okay.
You know what? Can I come in? No, it's I understand. Vele nami ezinjita. Naturally vele if kune ngivane medium, mele ngibe na some, that's natural. But now if and now we're bringing, as I said, women rightfully so, they are coming into their place now, in terms of, you know, economically.
Yeah.
So it's not unfair if a woman expects me to have inyugu, but she wants to call it equality.
It's those things that have become ingrained in our social fiber as a people. It's ingrained. Or even look at the way Baruhudi Sanka thing as a boy and a girl. The boy is the tough one, the rugged, strong, masculine, goes out to hunt, find things. He's the one who's persuasive. He gets the job first. That's the usual order, but things are changing, as we say. So that's why I get it. It shouldn't. It doesn't have to be. It shouldn't be, but habitually,
It's
that's
still
how
there.
it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Even
Can I jump on?
Wait, I want to bring a different perspective to this because so you can already tell how there's some sort of financial pressure on the gent, on the guy. And I was reading, I was reading some stats. Yeah, I was reading some stats online, and I realized, in all of this that we're talking about in terms of financial stability and all of that, it has been indicated several times, depression. It's merely, especially by throwing, it's merely out of that pressure, the financial burden that is sometimes self-imposed because so maybe my question would be, clearly this has to do with patriarchy. Patriarchy encourages and motivates a man to be a provider without fail. And anything less than that, you're seen as not being a real man. So if fail how provided, you're not a man. That's what society. That's the conversations that are taking place online. Or na maemo a hao a jwang wena yourself you dula hampe daddy. So maybe ko botsa hore patriarchy, it's a system that we have benefited from for a very long time. We are beneficiaries of that system. So would I let me just ask you, are we victims of a system that we praise so much and we hold in high esteem without knowing? Or actually didn't somehow?
I mean, it could just be a tragedy of history. When caricature becomes truth, that's a tragedy. It's a thing we've held on to because for years past, and even from the biblical scriptures, they say, "In the sweat of thy brow shall thou eat bread," and that's the order that was given to mostly the man, and that's what we've held to. We've held on to what I could define and say that's the caricature, and it has become the truth. Of which, if you look at if things were to be absolute, and we just look at men and women as two human beings who have to find their way through life, it wouldn't be so. But unfortunately, as you'd say, are we victims of that? Yeah, it's a tragedy of history.
Can add on to that.
We
can add on to that.
Maybe
Yeah.
because maybe Skaz Buddha or you guys live a little body lunchy. Mama Zala Barno. Kids who and even you could see even at at these places where you guys dine and eat. How eat
Yeah, and it has happened to me a couple of times where I'm not paying today. The lady is paying. Usually the waiter comes to you, the guy. Because used to habit.
Yeah.
So
can I say?
Yeah.
6 minutes.
So I think let's just bring it home. The ukushada clearly kufuneka inyuko bafethu, and I think we need to try to understand what is then being financially stable. I mean, there are guys who have worked hard and they have houses already established, and then kunosibale who's just started his hustle. However, nangu uhlangane nalo muntu and uyamncane ufuna ukumshada. So when we're talking financial stability, or when we're talking financial capacity for you to get married, what are we talking about? What if it's a question, how do we answer it as Amachans and maybe help each other out?
for me, because of culture and how we've been brought up, obviously you know you need to pay lobola, and lobola is expensive. Lobola is
Lobola
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
expensive.
Lobola is expensive. Yeah, it's pretty expensive. So you need to have some sort of a stability, and yeah, save as much as you can. If you're planning to get married, save. Even if you save a day, whatever you save, just make sure you save. You need to be financially stable because, like you said, you need to provide. You need to pay rent. You need to pay for the cars if there are cars. You need to whatever you need to provide for, and that needs finances.
So are you saying
you have
that
to be
responsibility? You're not gonna share it with your partner.
You're gonna share it, but you need to be stable. You will personally. I wouldn't want my woman paying for everything for me.
Okay.
With you, with me being the married one, we share everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Chelete ke nang kontlung is.
But you both work.
We both work. She earns more than me.
And how's that? How's that dynamic? Does
How's
it
that
make you
dynamic?
feel less of a man?
It doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't. Chelete kontlung. As long as we get rent paid, kids are fed, school fees is paid. That's sorted, man. Whatever money is left is for the household. Yeah. Ke kgona hore, hey, madam, I'm better today. I need to buy breakfast, go spanning, transfer money. That's why I think they even introduced this thing of joint accounts. I think it brings you closer.
So before Troa, how was your financial situation?
Okay,
Like
before
as out, like when
as
you were
out.
still single coming into it, how was your financial situation?
I got married 2014.
You're old.
Don't ask. I think I was 25. So yeah, when before I got married, with me, I took a leap of faith. There was no so saving you and then going to marriage. Wow. We took a leap of faith. Like, I'm ready to do this now. Are you ready? Let's do it. Which is something I will not advise. My advice.
Wow, it's a testimony. It's valid. Look at him. He's here.
Okay.
I'm still here, but the repercussions are now they're following up. Like he said, I always advise him. He's I always advise him. I'm like, before you go into kids and all of that, save up. My mistake was I didn't do that. I just went. I went in with the blindfold. I was like, I'm taking this. I love this lady. Yeah. Let me just go. This is my woman.
This is
my woman, man.
The conflict he brings to the fold is actually in essence backed up by your question to say bring this thing about financial stability is because you are anticipating these other things that will arise in a marriage. Or can I afford this? Can I afford that? And that's when you think to yourself as the unmarried one to say, when would I say I'm financially stable? Is it perhaps when I have a house, when I have mobility, a car, or maybe a chauffeur? That would be nice. And we can pay at least for groceries if we have a kid. You know, that's at least what you could define as I'm stable. I can get through to the next month, which is mostly the case with us young people. So that is needed, and I was just saying, with the conflict he brings to the fold, it's in response to say you need to anticipate some things, and situations are different, so that stability would be different for different people.
Stability is different for different people.
Quotable.
Sure.
Yeah, you're very quotable, my friend. Yeah, maybe just to
wrap up, I hope.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. I'm hoping that we're gonna have a 2-part series of what we're talking about now, and just get into the concept of lobola. I think that's what we.
Yeah, lobola is a very especially for us in the black culture, Buffett. You know, it's been a stumbling block for other people, but for some other people it's been like, you know, a breeze for them. Yeah. But as the outie, that's the first like burden that you get. Is lobola. And okay, let me not go.
Yeah, some gents start the process.
Yeah,
and then they tell you how much. You like,
yeah.
I almost did that. I actually did that.
Yeah,
because I told them they charge us ridiculous amounts of money.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, as in, Buyane Maliam, you deposit GTI.
Exactly. I think we're gonna go into that on the next
episode. So watch out for part 2.
Yeah. So now we wrap and Thank you guys for coming through, and thank you for your perspectives, and thank you for actually sharing some of your testimonies. It brings like a clearer picture to the idea of what we're talking about. But I think that's it, man.
That's it.
So long for that that boy and that old FNB ad Obian Lake Gala steak everything.
Post bank actually. That's post bank. Yeah.
Really,
but guys, if you're out there,
was it post bank?
Yeah, it was post bank. That's another something. So guys, if you're thinking about getting married and finances, just go back to what our Minister of Finance said, quoting an urban poet. We're going to be right. We're going to be all right.
And save up. So the conversation definitely continues on social media. Because we're going to have a part 2 of this, we'll definitely be on social media at you don't say _TS on Twitter, Instagram, you don't say, Facebook, you don't say. So we have them here. Yeah, this time they'll come. I know I've been saying they'll come, but they'll come. So, Wafeti, thank you so much. Amukelani, Mpoza, Mohabusi. Shout out to you guys. Thank you so much. We out.